Welcome to Real Takes
And Movie Breaks.
I'm Kimberly.
I'm Michael.
And today we are reviewing the film
Sinners.
This will be our spoiler review. So if you don't want spoilers, click the link in the description where we won't give too much away. This will be our in-depth review where we talk about what we liked, what we didn't like, and why. Please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell, and we'll dive right in.
Yeah, and we rate the film the same on the spoiler and the no spoiler. It's just we go into more depth in this one. I like the cinematography. I like the score. I like the acting. I like the direction. I liked the writing. I liked the whole setup. I liked the style of movie making. I like this. I like this genre more than you do. The sort of horror, I would say, right? Mm-hmm. I like it when it's done well. If it's not done well, then I'm ambivalent about it. But this one is done really well. It's more suspenseful than it is horror. It has horror. There are things in it that are horror. But like, okay, spoiler, vampires. They turn into vampires.
Surprise!
The vampires come after them. Vampire movies are in the lexicon since then forever.
Yes.
It's like the longest running genre ever. Mm-hmm. We just watched some vampire movies over Halloween, right?
Yes,
we watched
on our channel.
Fright Night.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of similar, actually, to this.
Yeah.
I think maybe I might like Fright Night better. I don't know. This one's a really good vampire movie. Like From Dusk Till Dawn. They're in a bar. Vampires. They're fighting them all night. Similar kind of thing. You can't really go wrong with the vampire thing. I guess you can. I guess you can go too ridiculous. Which at times, I think the movie's aware though that it's like going ridiculous in some of these sequences, and then it kind of it's unpredictable in a lot of ways. There's a lot of times where I'm like, oh, what are they doing now? Oh, this is new.
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I see what they're doing with the symbolism here. I see that. Okay, yeah. Okay, we'll see how they wrap it all around. I thought they wrapped the film up nicely at the end, especially with that post-credit scene. I think that wraps it up nicely. But yeah, I would say probably just a little heavy-handed on the symbolism. The violence is very overwrought, even for me. I enjoy violence, but some of it I was like, come on, all right. I guess they're trying to make a point with some of this stuff.
I like that it wasn't just a typical vampire movie like I've seen before. I really like that this was a very slow burn, and I deliberately did not do any research about this movie. I didn't even watch the trailer. I heard this was getting good reviews, but I wanted to be surprised, so I didn't actually know that it was about vampires. However, I saw the flashback where the guy is in the church at the very beginning. Great actor, by the way. I think this was like his first acting debut. Miles Catan, I thought this was an amazing job for him, especially since this was his breakout role. I did notice during that first scene where Sammy goes into the church, there's like a quick flashback and you see like a flash of teeth. So to me, that it gave it away pretty quickly. This was about vampires. I like that it was a very slow burn and we really got to know the characters and care about the characters. And it wasn't just about vampires. It wasn't just cheap jump scares. There was a lot of deeper interpersonal relationships. It was about brotherly love and all that deep symbolism about cultural appropriation, racism, all those deeper themes, which I appreciated because I'm not a big fan of horror films unless it does have some deeper meaning. So I thought the acting was really, really great. Like Michael B. Jordan, I was so impressed. I really believed that those were two different characters. I was really overwhelmed by his performance. So he did a great job. All the actors, I think, were really strong.
Yeah, he's turning out to be kind of this era's Denzel.
Yeah, many aspects of the film were not predictable. I like that they sprinkled in some humor. Like, for instance, that scene where all the vampires... that scene where all the characters are trying to eat garlic just to prove that they're not really a vampire. How human beings would really react in that situation. Like, who wants to actually eat a bulb of garlic? So that part was kind of funny. I like the moments of levity. I like some of the dark humor. I love the theme of music being timeless, almost magical. I love the scene where Sammy is performing his song and then all these musicians appear out of nowhere and then the music starts to shift. And so I love the theme about how music brings people together in a timeless way. I thought that was really beautiful. And I thought it was an interesting story in that I think the blues, some people would say back in the day that the blues was the devil's music. So it's sort of like making fun of that in some ways. So I like the parallels between, okay, the vampires could symbolize a lot of different things, but the vampires can also symbolize any type of oppressive group of people. The church can be oppressive for some people.
There's little things that the movie has to do in order to get from point A to point B that are a little like when all the vampires come rushing in and they have to fight them, and there's sort of these moments of story that are able to happen in the middle of all this fighting.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking they would just rush in and overwhelm them. There's no way they could fight them all off.
Yeah.
But you have these moments where it's like he's stabbing her, she's biting him, and they're having little drawn out dramatic moments in the middle, and then they escape. And I'm like, I don't think they'd be able to escape. So that's where it's like, okay, you're kind of like doing the thing where you're cheating to get these little dramatic moments to happen. That's the kind of thing where I'm like a little like, the movie's good enough, you don't have to do that stuff, just keep it logical all the way through, even though it's kind of illogical. We're talking vampires and everything. We're sort of bought in to the whole vampire premise, and we're also sort of bought into the idea, like when the lead vampire, who's like a Klansman, is white Klansman, and then they're assimilating, or they're bringing in vampires that are black into their vampire coven, and then they're singing like these Irish folksy songs.
Yeah,
it's really creepy because we just watched them like dancing and singing the blues and kind of being free with their bodies and everything, and now they're trapped in vampire bodies and they're singing like folksy Irish songs, and it's like, ooh, that's really creepy.
Yeah.
And that's an effective horror use of horror that's almost like reminds me of The Wicker Man or something. Some of the old sort of folk tales-y horror films of the 70s that I really like. So the director is very well versed in the genre. I do think that final scene is really good. In a way, it sort of like explains everything you just saw, and sort of the significance of everything you just saw. Like, that was my last sunset. That was the last time I saw my brother. That was the last night I was really free. So you kind of get, by the end of the film, you really get the social commentary that it's really driving at with this vampire story. Mm-hmm. And I think it's an effective metaphor in a lot of ways for what it's trying to get at.
The mid-credit scene where we see grown-up Sammy meet the old vampires again and have that little exchange. I think without that, the film isn't nearly as final, and I feel like that is a satisfying ending because it ends on kind of a touching, bittersweet sort of note. And it's all about these characters who just want freedom, and it's interesting, like, to think about how the love between those brothers was so strong that even though one of them became a vampire, because their love was so strong, it transcended that, and the brother still held up his promise to the other one, even though he was an evil vampire, right? So it's almost like it's saying love can transcend evil. And I really like that theme.
And he remembers the music.
Yes.
So the music kind of gets him back into what he was feeling that last day he was human.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of interesting things. There's a lot of interesting storytelling devices in the film that kind of bump it up.
Scale of 1 to 5, I'd probably give it like a 4 out of 5. And that's saying a lot, considering I don't really like horror films. So
yeah, I would give it a 4 out of 5. I think it's a strong movie. See it in a theater. I would say it's definitely more powerful on the screen, the way it's sort of shot and the visuals elements of it. There's some really good visuals in it, good shots. It's a little heavy on the violence for sure, especially at the very end when he kills all the clans guys that are coming. Like, that part is like absurdly violent.
Yes. If you had an opportunity to improve the film in your own way, how might you change aspects of it?
There's lots of cheating. Like, the girl goes out to her car, she sees the vampires, then there's a lot of moments where we cut away from something and we don't know what happened.
Yeah.
So then they can cheat and then have a character appear. Like when Michael B. Jordan kills the main vampire at the end. We just saw him, he was about to kill his brother. We cut away from that moment, and then all of a sudden he's able to stab the main vampire.
Yeah.
That's kind of a cheat.
Yeah.
In my view. There's probably a better way to handle those moments. So really it's more about like nitty-gritty movie stuff that I feel like would enhance it, unless you just turned it into a completely different movie, in which case, I don't know. What do you think?
I think I would like to see more humor. There was like a little bit of humor in there. I would have loved to have seen more humor. Just because like vampires are silly, and I think a little tongue-in-cheek kind of like jokes, I think those are really helpful to kind of digest a vampire movie. So I would like to have seen a little more humor. And I don't know, I feel like the special effects were good, but I feel like if they had gotten even more creative with making these vampires look very different from any other vampires we've seen before. All they really did was sort of like change their eye color and add fangs or whatever. So it just, the special effects for the vampires were okay, but I think it would have been a bold move to make them look totally different from any other vampire we've seen. Also, as far as movie logic goes, if it has to be a vampire movie, there are still ways of creating situations that are a little more believable and not quite so far-fetched. It's kind of to piggyback off what you were saying, there's convenient cuts where we don't see how you get from point A to point B. So I think if they kind of tighten the movie logic a little bit, but overall, I think as far as a vampire movie, it's probably much better than others I've seen. So
we just watched Nosferatu.
Yes, I definitely enjoyed this more than Nosferatu. And again, the music is beautiful, and the cinematography is amazing. And I think the actors are so good and so interesting to watch. Michael B. Jordan really carries the movie. He knows how to carry the movie. So I think that alone is worth watching, just to see his performance.
It's a pretty haunting performance that he gives. For both brothers and everything, the whole thing for him is like some pretty great acting.
My only other idea for improving the film, and this may be me just being, I am a twin. I have a twin sister. We're fraternal. We don't look alike, but I do understand the bond between two twins. And they did establish what their bond was, but I would have liked to have seen more of that at the beginning, why their love is so deep, and to really see how much they care about each other more at the beginning. Maybe even have them talk about like memories growing up just a little more, or flashbacks or something, just some other way so we can really, really care about the twins. I did care about the twins, but I think that relationship could have been more powerful if the characters were developed a little more before it gets flipped on its head. But I do like how the film does get flipped on its head in a way that's sort of unpredictable, almost like you don't quite see it coming, which is cool. So those are my thoughts for improving the film. But overall, yeah, if you if you like vampire movies, or if you like any horror movies with deeper symbolism, you'll probably enjoy it.
Here's an idea. Michael B. Jordan's the Smoke, the one who doesn't become a vampire, doesn't kill his twin brother, who's now a vampire. He kills the lead vampire, right? But that doesn't kill Michael B. Jordan or his girlfriend, the other one, Stack, and his girlfriend, his twin.
Yeah.
Doesn't kill him. But because they're twins, Smoke is not a vampire, but he's kind of undead. So he gets shot at the end, and he dies, right?
Yeah, it's implied that he dies, right?
What if he doesn't die in that part because he's actually half vampire now?
Yeah, because he's connected to his twin.
Yeah.
That would be a really interesting twist.
So then we get to that final ending scene, and we see the Stack come in. He's a vampire, talks to Preacher Boy, leaves, but then we see that Smoke is still alive, and he's watching Stack.
Yeah, it would be interesting to have seen.
Or he's caught up to him. He's found him.
I do like this idea of like a good vampire.
Yeah.
You know, like that archetype where Smoke could have turned into a vampire, but a vampire with morals, with self-restraint. So if we had seen that kind of trope, you know, and like that old show Angel, for instance, was all about a vampire turned good. Comment below, let us know what you think of the movie. If you watch it, let us know if you agree with our critique or disagree. We'd love to hear from you. I think great movies are really thought-provoking, and this is a movie that is thought-provoking, so I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if there are any films you'd like us to watch and review, please comment below. And in the meantime, keep it real.
Have great takes.